In a distant corner of the galaxy, aboard the massive orbital station Elysium Concord, leaders from countless species had gathered for what was supposed to be a historic peace summit. The air was thick with anticipation as delegates from across the stars convened to discuss trade, alliances, and the future of interstellar cooperation. Humanity, represented by Ambassador Daniel Harper and his team, sat at the negotiating table alongside beings with scales, fur, and forms that defied easy description. 4 days, discussions had been tense, but hopeful. However, on the 5th day of the summit, something unexpected happened. Humans walked out. It started with a quiet murmur in the hall. Ambassador Harper stood abruptly, his face unreadable, and signaled for his team to follow him. Without a word, they left the room, their footsteps echoing against the polished floor. The other delegates exchanged confused glances. Some whispered among themselves, while others stared in stunned silence. No explanation was given. Minutes later, an official statement arrived. Humanity had withdrawn from the peace talks. The reason? Allegations that certain alien factions were secretly arming rogue colonies against Earth's interests. The news spread quickly, rippling through the station like a shockwave. Reporters scrambled to cover the story, and within hours, it reached every corner of the galaxy. Fear began to take hold. Among the Krylos, a proud warrior race known for their distrust of humans, leaders muttered about the unpredictability of Earth's people. On Varnathi worlds, where diplomacy was valued above all else, councils debated whether this sudden exit signaled aggression or weakness. Even neutral species grew uneasy, wondering if humanity's actions were a prelude to war. Back on Earth, reactions were mixed. In New Chicago, crowds gathered outside government buildings, demanding answers. Some supported the decision, believing it protected human interests. Others saw it as reckless and dangerous. President Laura Hayes addressed the nation from her office, her expression calm but firm. "We will not tolerate betrayal," she declared. "If our allies cannot be trusted, then we must stand alone." Her words did little to ease growing concerns. Across the galaxy, alien leaders reacted with equal uncertainty. Trell, a Varnathi emissary, an advocate for peace, watched the unfolding events with a heavy heart. He had worked tirelessly to build bridges between species, and now those efforts seemed doomed. "This is not the way," he told his assistant quietly. "Fear only breeds more fear." Meanwhile, aboard Elysium Concord, junior diplomat Emma Dawson lingered in the corridors long after her colleagues had departed. She couldn't shake the feeling that something wasn't right. Why had Harper acted so suddenly? And why hadn't anyone questioned the evidence behind the accusations? As she wandered, she noticed a shadowy figure slipping into a restricted area. Curiosity overcame caution, and she followed, unaware that her actions would soon uncover secrets far greater than she could imagine. As hours turned into days, the galaxy braced itself for what might come next. Trade routes tightened, patrols increased, and whispers of conflict filled the void between stars. Humanity's abrupt departure had left a void not just at the negotiating table, but in the fragile trust that held the galaxy together. Whatever happened next, one thing was certain: the galaxy would never look at humans the same way again. On Earth, the fallout from humanity's abrupt exit from the peace talks dominated every conversation. President Laura Hayes sat in the Oval Office, her brow furrowed, as she listened to her advisors debate the next steps. General William Carter stood at one end of the room, his arms crossed tightly over his chest. "We can't afford to wait," he said, his voice firm. "If we don't act now, the Krylos or the Varnathi will see it as weakness. We need to mobilize our fleets and secure our borders." Across the table, Dr. Rachel Monroe shook her head. A xenobiologist who had spent years studying alien cultures, she knew how fragile trust could be. "Mobilizing will only make things worse," she argued. "They'll see it as aggression. If we want to avoid war, We need to show them we're still willing to talk. Hayes leaned back in her chair, her fingers tapping rhythmically on the desk. She understood both sides of the argument, but felt trapped between two equally dangerous paths outside. Protests filled the streets of major cities. In New Chicago, thousands gathered in front of the Capitol building, holding signs that read "Peace, not war," and * "Protect our colonies." The media buzzed with speculation, amplifying fears about what might happen next. Meanwhile, aboard Elysium Concorde, tensions simmered among the remaining delegates. Without humanity present, discussions became even more heated. Accusations flew back and forth, each species blaming the others for the breakdown of negotiations. Trell, the Varnathi emissary, tried to keep tempers in check, but even he struggled to maintain order. "We cannot let fear divide us," he pleaded during one particularly chaotic session. "If we turn on each other, we all lose." Emma Dawson, the junior diplomat who had stayed behind, found herself increasingly isolated. Her colleagues had returned to Earth, leaving her alone in unfamiliar territory. Yet she couldn't bring herself to leave not yet. Something about the situation didn't sit right with her. The evidence that had supposedly justified humanity's withdrawal seemed too convenient, too perfect. Determined to find answers, she began piecing together fragments of information, poring over documents, and listening carefully to conversations around her. One evening, while walking through a quiet corridor, Emma noticed someone watching her, a tall figure with shimmering scales and sharp eyes. It was Trell. He approached cautiously, his movements deliberate. "You're still here," he said, his tone soft but curious. Emma hesitated before nodding. "I have questions," she admitted. "Things don't add up." Trell studied her for a moment, then nodded. "So do I," he replied. Together, they agreed to share what they knew. Over the next few days, they uncovered troubling details. Messages intercepted by station security hinted at secret dealings between certain factions, both human and alien, that sought to sabotage the peace talks. Someone wanted the summit to fail, and they were using lies and manipulation to ensure it. As Emma and Trell dug deeper, their findings painted a grim picture. Rogue elements within Earth's government appeared to be working with shadowy figures from other species, arming rebel groups and stoking distrust. If these actions came to light, it could destroy any chance of rebuilding cooperation, but exposing the truth carried risks of its own. Whoever was behind this conspiracy wielded immense power, and they wouldn't hesitate to silence anyone who threatened their plans. Back on Earth, General Carter pushed harder for military readiness, warning of imminent threats along the borders of human-controlled space. Reports of mysterious ships lurking near colonies added fuel to his arguments. Meanwhile, Dr. Monroe continued advocating for diplomacy, though her voice grew quieter as fear spread. Across the galaxy, alliances shifted uneasily. Some species aligned closer to humanity, hoping to gain protection. Others distanced themselves, fearing retribution if war broke out. In the midst of chaos, Emma realized time was running out. If she and Trell didn't act soon, the galaxy might spiral into conflict, and no one would ever know the real reason why. Emma Dawson and Trell worked late into the night, huddled in a secluded corner of Elysium Concorde. The station's soft hum provided a strange kind of comfort as they pieced together clues about the conspiracy. Their discovery was alarming. Someone human and alien alike had orchestrated the sabotage to ensure the peace talks failed. Whoever it was had planted false evidence to make humanity look like the aggressor, while secretly arming rebel factions across the galaxy. Emma clenched her fists. "This isn't just about us," she said quietly. "It's about tearing everyone apart." Trell nodded, his scales shimmering faintly under the dim light. "If this truth comes out, it could unite us or destroy what little trust remains." He paused, his sharp eyes meeting hers. "But exposing it won't be easy. These people are powerful, Emma. They won't let you speak without a fight. Emma knew he was right. If she tried to share their findings openly, she risked being silenced or worse. Yet staying silent felt impossible. She thought of her colleagues back on Earth, of General Carter pushing for war, and Dr. Monroe pleading for peace. The galaxy was teetering on the edge of chaos, and this secret could tip it over. "We need help," she said finally. "Someone who can get the word out without drawing attention." Trell suggested reaching out to Senator Olivia Grant, a moderate voice in Earth's Senate, known for her commitment to diplomacy. Though cautious by nature, Grant had always been willing to listen to reason. Emma hesitated, but agreed. If anyone could navigate the storm ahead, it was her. The next day, Emma sent a coded message to Grant through a secure channel. It was brief, careful not to reveal too much in case it fell into the wrong hands. Within hours, Grant responded, arranging a covert meeting aboard Elysium Concord. When the senator arrived, her expression was calm but serious. Emma and Trell laid out everything they had uncovered, showing intercepted messages and documents that pointed to the conspiracy. Grant listened intently, her face growing paler with each revelation. "This changes everything," she said when they finished. Her voice was steady, but there was no mistaking the weight of her words. "If we can prove this, we might have a chance to stop the spiral. But we'll need allies, people willing to defy their own leaders, if necessary." With Grant's support, Emma and Trell began reaching out to trusted individuals from other species. Slowly, a small group formed, united by a shared desire to prevent war. Among them was Jurek, a Krelos engineer disillusioned with his empire's warmongering ways, and Lyra, a Varnathi scientist who had long advocated for cooperation. Each member brought skills and resources to the table, forming an underground alliance determined to expose the truth. As the days passed, tensions across the galaxy continued to rise. Patrol ships reported increased activity near human-controlled borders, and rumors of skirmishes spread like wildfire. Governor Matthew Lynch of Mars declared martial law, citing threats from neighboring systems. Back on Earth, protests grew louder, with some calling for retaliation against perceived enemies. Fear hung heavy in the air, a constant reminder of how close the galaxy was to collapse. Emma and her allies worked tirelessly, knowing they were running out of time. Every decision carried risks, every move watched closely by those who sought to maintain the status quo. One night, as Emma reviewed intercepted data, she noticed something chilling: a list of planets marked for destabilization. Among them were key star systems, vital to trade and communication. If these regions fell into chaos, it would cripple any hope of rebuilding trust. "We need to act now," she told the group during their next meeting. "If we wait, it'll be too late." The others nodded grimly, understanding the stakes. Together, they devised a plan to broadcast their findings to the galaxy, using encrypted channels to bypass censorship. It was dangerous, but it was their only chance. As Emma prepared for the broadcast, she couldn't shake the feeling that unseen eyes were watching her. Somewhere in the shadows, the conspirators were still pulling strings, and they wouldn't let the truth see the light without a fight. Tensions across the galaxy reached a boiling point as skirmishes erupted along the borders of human-controlled space. Patrol ships, once tasked with routine inspections, now found themselves in constant alert. Commander Alex Rivera led one such patrol near the Alpha Centauri corridor, a region known for its strategic importance. His crew scanned the vast expanse of stars, their instruments picking up faint signals from unidentified vessels lurking just beyond sensor range. "Keep your eyes sharp," Rivera ordered, his voice calm but firm. "We don't know what we're dealing with." It wasn't long before they encountered trouble. A convoy of ships, heavily armed and flying no recognizable flags, drifted into their path. Rivera hailed them, demanding identification. The response was silence until the convoy suddenly opened fire. The battle was swift and chaotic. Lasers streaked through the void, and explosions lit up the darkness. Rivera's ship, the Odyssey, took heavy damage, but his quick thinking turned the tide. With precise maneuvers, he outflanked the enemy, disabling their lead vessel. When the dust settled, Rivera ordered boarding parties to search the crippled ships. What they found sent chills down their spines. The cargo holds were filled with advanced weapons, far more sophisticated than anything available to rebel factions. Among the captured crew was a human traitor named Nathan Cole. His face was pale, his hands trembling as he confessed under interrogation. "They promised me safety," he stammered. "A new life, if I helped them." Rivera listened intently as Cole revealed chilling details. A coalition of mercenaries, corrupt officials, and rogue elements from multiple species had been working together in secret. Their goal was simple, yet devastating: to seize control of key star systems. By exploiting the growing distrust between humanity and its neighbors, chaos would serve as their cover, allowing them to manipulate events from the shadows. Cole claimed that higher-ranking conspirators were embedded in both human and alien governments, pulling strings to ensure the galaxy remained divided. Back on Earth, General William Carter reviewed Rivera's report with mounting concern. "This is worse than we thought," he muttered, slamming his fist on the table. He immediately ordered reinforcements to the contested regions, fearing further attacks. Meanwhile, President Laura Hayes addressed the nation again, her tone more urgent this time. "We are not alone in this fight," she declared. "Enemies within and without seek to tear us apart, but we will not falter." Across the galaxy, reactions varied. Some species rallied behind humanity, offering support and resources. Others distanced themselves further, unwilling to be drawn into what many saw as humanity's internal struggles. On Mars, Governor Matthew Lynch tightened martial law, citing increased threats to colonial security. In New Chicago, protests grew louder, with citizens demanding transparency from their leaders. The media churned out endless coverage, amplifying fears and fueling paranoia. Emma Dawson and her underground alliance worked feverishly to prepare their broadcast. They knew exposing the conspiracy could shift the balance, but time was slipping away. Each day brought new reports of violence, pushing the galaxy closer to a loud war. One evening, as Emma reviewed the final draft of their message, Trell approached her. "Are you ready for this?" he asked softly. Emma nodded, though doubt lingered in her mind. "We have to try," she said. "If we don't, who will?" The night of the broadcast arrived. Using encrypted channels, Emma and her team transmitted their findings to every corner of the galaxy. The message was clear and damning. The peace talks had been sabotaged by rogue elements seeking power through division. Evidence was presented: intercepted messages, cargo manifests, and Nathan Cole's confessional, pointing to a sinister plot. The reaction was immediate. Shockwaves rippled through the galaxy as leaders scrambled to respond. But not everyone welcomed the truth. Within hours, shadowy figures moved to discredit the broadcast, spreading counterclaims that it was fabricated propaganda. Some dismissed it outright, while others used it as justification for further aggression. Despite the backlash, hope flickered in unexpected places. Senator Olivia Grant called for an emergency session of the Senate, urging her colleagues to investigate the allegations. Across the stars, ordinary citizens began questioning their leaders, demanding answers. As the galaxy grappled with the revelations, Emma realized the fight was far from over. Exposing the conspiracy had planted seeds of doubt, but old fears ran deep. Trust would take time to rebuild, if it could be rebuilt at all. For now, the galaxy stood at a crossroads, teetering between unity and ruin, and Emma knew that whatever happened next, humanity's role in shaping the future had only just begun. The broadcast sent shockwaves through the galaxy, but it also ignited a dangerous game of cat and mouse. Shadowy figures, exposed by Emma Dawson's revelations, worked tirelessly to cover their tracks. They launched counter-campaigns, spreading misinformation to undermine the credibility of the evidence. Some planets erupted into protests, with citizens demanding accountability, while others descended into chaos as fear took hold. Amidst the turmoil, whispers began to surface about an ancient artifact, a relic said to hold the power to unite or destroy entire civilizations. Emma first heard of the artifact during a late-night meeting with her underground alliance. Yarrick, the Krylos engineer, leaned forward, his voice low. "There's a legend among my people," he said. "It speaks of the Nexus Shard, a crystal forged at the heart of a dying star. It's said to resonate with all life, bridging differences and fostering understanding." Lyra, the Varnathi scientist, nodded in agreement. "My ancestors spoke of it too," she added. "They called it the Heart of Unity, but no one knows if it truly exists." The idea intrigued Emma. If such an artifact could be found, it might serve as a symbol of hope, a tangible reminder that cooperation was possible, even in the darkest times. She shared the idea with Senator Olivia Grant, who was equally captivated. "If we can find it," Grant said, "it could change everything. But searching for it won't be easy. Legends often lead to dead ends." Despite the risks, the group decided to act. They knew time was running out. Tensions were escalating, and war seemed inevitable. Trell volunteered to help organize the mission, using his connections to gather volunteers from multiple species. Together, they formed a small but diverse crew, each member bringing unique skills to the journey. Commander Alex Rivera was chosen to lead the expedition, his tactical expertise making him an ideal candidate. The mission's destination was uncharted space, a region shrouded in mystery and danger. Ancient maps hinted at the shard's location within a collapsing star cluster, but the path was fraught with hazards, radiation storms, gravitational anomalies, and rogue AI drones left over from forgotten wars. As the crew prepared to depart, doubts lingered in their minds. Were they chasing a myth? Or was the Nexus Shard real, waiting to be discovered? On the day of departure, the ship assigned to the mission, the Eclipse Vanguard, stood ready on the launch pad. Its sleek design and reinforced hull made it one of humanity's most advanced vessels. As the crew boarded, Emma felt a mix of excitement and dread. She had never ventured this far into unknown space, and the thought of what awaited them filled her with unease. Still, she reminded herself why they were doing this, to give the galaxy a chance at peace. As the Eclipse Vanguard launched, the galaxy watched with bated breath. Some saw the mission as a desperate gamble, while others viewed it as a beacon of hope. Back on Earth, President Laura Hayes addressed the public, framing the expedition as a bold step toward unity. "We go not as conquerors, but as seekers of truth," she declared. Her words resonated with many, though skeptics remained. In the days that followed, the crew faced numerous challenges. Radiation flares forced them to alter course repeatedly, and malfunctioning equipment tested their resolve. Yet through it all, they pressed on, driven by the belief that finding the Nexus Shard could change the course of history. Each member of the crew carried their own reasons for joining the mission, but they shared a common goal: to prove that, even in a fractured galaxy, unity was still possible. As the Eclipse Vanguard approached the edge of the collapsing star cluster, the crew braced themselves for what lay ahead. The legend spoke of trials guarding the shard, tests designed to determine whether those seeking it were worthy. Emma clenched her fists, determination etched on her face. Whatever happened next, she knew one thing for certain: the galaxy was watching, and failure was not an option.